Hello, and welcome to For Your Journey. Continuing the discussion on the sacraments, this week's episode will focus on holy baptism.
We've already done a couple For Your Journey episodes on the sacraments, and the one that we haven't done yet is holy baptism. So I want to focus on that. What is baptism, and what is it not?
Baptism is a fundamental change that a soul has with God. All man has fallen into sin because of the great fall of Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And so this sin rests upon all mankind, and God in his love and compassion, he wants to wash this away. So baptism is the act, the sacrament, whereby he washes away original sin.
Mm-hmm. I think a word you said was really interesting. It's fundamental. It's kind of at the beginning. It's one of the step that makes someone a Christian.
It's the first act that God makes towards a soul to bring them to his nearness.
Yeah, and in addition to being fundamental, it's always. You can't lose the effect of baptism.
No. Once a soul comes into this relationship with God through baptism, they're forever in that relationship. Even if they're unfaithful to God, mm-hmm. they still have come into this relationship, and he loves them.
Mm-hmm. What is baptism not? We've heard some maybe conceptions over the year about it washes away inherited sin. A minute ago you said original sin. I think that may be something worth exploring there.
Okay, original sin is the sin from Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. Some time ago there was the idea of inherited sins, that it's dropped down from generation to generation. But we can't understand that could happen. How could God hold us all accountable? We would be under such a weight of sin from our generations in the past. We can't see it that way.
Yeah.
The baptism washes away original sin.
I used to think when I heard that term inherited sin, and I don't know if I had heard this growing up or if it was just a misconception I had from hearing the term. When you hear inherited in other contexts, it's usually very family oriented. You're inheriting something from your family or from your parents. Mm-hmm. And you just think, how could I inherit their sin if during their lifetime they were forgiven for that sin?
Yeah.
What is there to inherit?
And
so
God,
it didn't make sense.
God considers every individual themselves. He has a relationship with each one individually.
Yeah. Another term that maybe has been associated with baptism over years is like this stirring of waters. Is there anything?
Yeah,
there?
that was an idea or an expression that we used in the years past. Perhaps it even came from the idea of the Pool of Bethesda when there was a stirring of the water. But the baptism happens one time in life. Mm-hmm. It's never repeated. And there's no stirring necessary. Where perhaps a prayer or a feeling can come about for our children is they will always suffer to sin, perhaps from our inclinations, inherited inclinations, and to pray for our children, or parents to pray for children, that the Lord helps them overcome the inclinations which I myself have, and I know my children will also have them too.
Yeah. So I think it's important to highlight it's fundamental. It's this kind of beginning step in this relationship with Jesus. It's not necessarily this inherited side, more this original sin, specifically Adam and Eve and the fall into sin, mm-hmm. that initial separation from God. And it's not merely, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not merely a symbol either. It's not something that's just a metaphor for a new life. There's something actually happening here. God's acting in this. It's not just a symbol to say, oh, it's you used to be this, so now you're this.
That's the beauty of it.
It's not imagery.
That's the beauty of it. God is acting. And there is sort of an interesting thing about baptism. Even the Apostle Peter talks about it in 1 Peter, the idea of the flood, that one goes under the water in the old baptism and dies, and then comes out of the water and lives a new life with Christ. Mm-hmm. And that's what a person is promising when they are baptized, or the parents of a child promise that this child now points towards Jesus Christ and sees him as this way of salvation and wants to grow under his teachings.
Thank you for joining us. If you have any suggested questions or topics, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. This has been For Your Journey.